Do you want to know how you can pay off $50,000 in credit card debt? Then stick till the end of this video. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How you doing today? I hope you are doing fantastic. If you are doing as terrific as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today I want to talk to you about how to pay off $50,000 in credit card debt. Now, of course, the amount you owe might be different than from $50,000. It might be higher, it might be lower, depending upon your personal situation. But the tactics I'm going to share with you in this video apply across the board. Recently, Experian did some research, and they found out that Americans carried $6,200 in credit card debt in 2019, but a little more than 1% of credit card users had balances of at least $50,000. So getting rid of $50,000 or more in credit card debt, this can feel like an insurmountable task, right? But if you have the right strategy, some good financial tools and time, it is possible to achieve your goal of becoming debt-free. Let's get right into it. First, you got to make a plan to tackle $50K in credit card debt. Because everybody's financial situation is different, there is no one right to pay off credit card debt, especially when you have a lot of it. Think about it, right? So your plan might be different from the plan that your relative or your friend has. Here are some things, though, that you need to consider before creating a plan to tackle your credit card balances. First thing you want to do is reevaluating or creating a budget. So paying off $50K in credit card debt will require dedication, consistency, and extra payments. So to make the last one possible, it is important to understand how much money you are working with every month and where it's going. So you got to have an idea of your income and expenses, and all those two are the two elements you have in a budget. So if you already have a budget in place, you want to reevaluate it to see how you're spending your money and where you can cut back so that you can prioritize paying off your debt. So cutting off streaming or other subscriptions you rarely use. You want to eat out less often. You want to make your current wardrobe last another season without actually buying extra clothes. And all of those things, if you do them right, you can trim your monthly budget, which leaves you more cash for debt payments. On the other hand, if you're not currently following a budget, you need to create one. And this will help you manage the money you have and see if you can redirect cash from other expense categories to put toward paying off your credit cards. So this begins with tracking your monthly spending to understand where your money is going. You got to have that. You want to create a budget and stick to it so that you can lay the foundation of proper financial management. This is one of the best ways to break bad money habits and begin the task of getting back on track financially speaking. $50K is not a small amount, you bet, right? But you got to have that discipline. I was talking about earlier, I was talking about dedication, discipline, and time. You can't control time, but you can control dedication and discipline. Those are qualities that you have total control over, and it's up to you how fast you want to pay off that $50K. How fast you pay off the $50K depends on other things. So you want to look for ways to decrease recurring expenses and increase income. So downsizing your lifestyle is not ideal, but it could be very essential to paying off your debt and keeping you debt free in the future. So you want to look at your housing situation, recurring expenses, car payments, to see if it's possible to reduce those monthly costs. So if you're a renter, if you're a tenant, you could take on a roommate or look for a less expensive place to live. If your car payment is eating too much of your monthly budget, consider whether refinancing may be a good option. Besides reducing expenses, you want to look for opportunities to increase your income, right? So whether you want to ask for a raise at work, you can commit to overtime hours, you can take an extra job, or you can look for side hustles. So increasing your income even by a few $100s a month could make a huge difference, humongous difference in the long run. Don't forget to set concrete goals, folks. If your goal is to pay off $50K in credit card debt, you need to have concrete goals. I'm not talking about just things that you just imagine. No, it has to be on paper. It has to be black and white. It has to be clear. So paying off credit cards can be tricky because they don't have a set repayment term like loans do. You can pay whatever you want as long as you meet the minimum amount every month. Instead of allowing the minimum payment to guide your repayment strategy, you want to establish a goal of your own for when you want to pay off the last dollar. Before you set your goal though, make sure it is reasonable, because you don't want to get yourself into another trouble by start paying like a higher amount that you cannot afford. So you can use a credit card payoff calculator, for example, to get an idea of how long it would take you to repay the full 50K based on your specific situation and ability to repay. You also want to think about choosing a debt payoff method. There are a lot of them there. You should always pay at least the minimum monthly payments on each of your credit cards to avoid late payments, because late payments could damage your credit. We all know that. To work towards paying off a large balance though, you want to consider using the debt avalanche or debt snowball approach. What's up with the debt avalanche method? In this approach, you will make the minimum monthly payments on all your credit cards accounts and apply any additional payments you can afford to the account with the highest interest rate. Hence the avalanche method. So once that balance is paid off, you will take all the money you were paying toward that balance every month and apply it to the card with the next highest interest rate. So you'll continue this strategy until all of your credit cards are paid in full. That's for the debt avalanche method. What about the debt snowball method? This follows the same process as the debt avalanche approach in every way except for one. So instead of targeting your account with the highest interest rates first, you want to focus on the account with the lowest balance. So neither approach is better than the other. You just need to decide which is best for your situation. In general, the debt avalanche method will save you more on interest because you're paying off higher interest account first. On the flip side, the debt snowball method will give you wins early on because you are cutting off smaller balances. So you have to consider both options and your situation to decide the best path for you. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are also having a conversation here around how you can pay off 50K in credit card debt. You want to consider other options for paying off debt. So I've given you two methods. I have the debt snowball and avalanche methods. You want to consider other ways you can eliminate your credit card debt more efficiently and save more money along the way. You can also ask for a lower interest rate. So you may be able to negotiate a lower interest rate on your credit card accounts with your credit card issuers. It's not a guarantee, but guess what? You got to try first, right? You may only get a lower rate. You may even get a lower rate temporarily, but it could ensure that more of your monthly payments go toward your principal balance instead of interest charges, at least for a period of time. You can also look into a debt consolidation plan. Now, debt consolidation plan, the debt consolidation loans, rather, they are personal loans you can use to pay off credit card debt. On average, personal loans carry lower interest rates than credit cards, so you may be able to save more money this way. What's more, personal loans have set repayment terms, which means you know exactly when you will be finished paying off your debts, and you have a single set monthly payment to help you manage your monthly finances. However, you may not be able to get an affordable debt consolidation loan if your credit score is in bad shape. I'm talking below 500. Also, the monthly payment on the loan will likely be larger than the minimum payments on your credit cards. So make sure you run the numbers to ensure it's a good fit for your situation. You can also consider a balance transfer credit card. So another way to consolidate your debt and save money is through a balance transfer credit card. So these cards are specifically designed to pay off other credit card balances and typically provide something called intro 0% APR promotion on those balances. So you may get an introductory 0% APR promotion on your 50K. So this is something, if you're lucky, because you likely will not be able to put 50K on a balance transfer card. You could use it for some of your debt. So paying off the transferred balance before the intro APR period ends. So depending on the card though, you can get a year or more with no interest, which makes it easier for you to pay down your credit card debt and save hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars in interest in the process. Note, however, that many balance transfer cards charge an upfront fee, typically 3% or 5% of the transfer amount. So in many cases, the interest savings can far outweigh the initial cost, and you will need good to excellent credit to qualify. You might also want to look into debt relief options. So if you're having a hard time making progress with your credit card debt, consolidation options and payoff methods may not be enough. So in that case, it may be worth looking into credit counseling, debt settlement, and even bankruptcy. What is credit counseling? Now, this can provide you with some relief through a debt management plan. So for a modest upfront and monthly fee, you'll make payments to the credit counseling agency, which will then pay your creditors on your behalf. In many cases, though, credit counselors can also negotiate lower interest rates and even monthly payments with your creditors. So you want consider credit counseling if you have exhausted all your other options but want to avoid the damage to your credit score that debt settlements and bankruptcy would cause. Speaking of debt settlements, what is it? This is really the process of negotiating to pay less than you owe on your account. So you're basically like going to the company and saying, hey, listen, I owe 1,000, but I can only pay 600. Can we settle here? So this is debt settlement is typically best done through a debt settlement company, which will charge you a fee for the service. So it is important to keep in mind, however, that the process can cause significant damage to your credit score. This is because you'll need to make payments to the debt settlement company until you've reached an amount the company can use to negotiate on your behalf. So with tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, it can take some time to reach this goal. In the meantime, you are generally instructed to stop making payments on your account, which will seriously hurt your credit. So as a result, it's not generally a great idea if you've been keeping up with your payments until now. So if you are already significantly behind on your bills, however, the damage may have already been done. So debt settlements at this point may be a viable option. So besides debt settlements, you also have the last resort, if you will, bankruptcy. So this is a last resort with any form of debt. But if your financial situation makes it impossible to pursue any other path to eliminating your debt, bankruptcy may be the only option left. If you are considering bankruptcy, note that it could damage your credit significantly for several years to come. Usually it's from 7 to 10 years. So this is not a decision you have to make lightly. So you want to consult with a credit counselor or a bankruptcy attorney to determine if it's the right fit for you, it's the best fit for you. This is very important. The conversation I want to have here and sort of closing this discussion here is that as we're talking about debt relief options, credit counseling, debt settlements, and bankruptcy, the main question here is how did you get there in the first place? How did you get to the point where you have accumulated 50K in debt? Again, folks, we just chose the 50K, but this could be 25K, this could be 30K, this could be 60, this could be 100K. The big question here is you have to learn how to use your credit responsibly in the future. So paying off 50K in credit card debt is no easy task, and no matter how you accomplish it, opportunities are available to improve your overall financial situation going forward. So once you have established and accomplished your goal of paying off your credit card debt, you got to now sit down and reevaluate your financial situation, your goals, your vision, your lifestyle. You need to be proactive about credit card habits to make sure you don't end up in the same situation again. This is especially important if you have had to resort to debt settlements or bankruptcy and want to rebuild your credit history. For starters, you want to make it a goal to check your credit score and credit report regularly. Remember, by law, all 3 credit bureaus have to give you one free copy of your credit score every year. So your credit score is an indicator of your overall credit health and can give you great clues about where you stand financially speaking. And your credit report will also provide the information you need to determine which areas to address if needed. So if you still have your credit cards or can qualify for a new one, use them sparingly and pay your bill on time and in full every month. On time and in fullness. Two great criteria for credit card management. So this can help establish a positive payment history and show a good CUR, credit utilization rate, both of which can help improve your credit score. So credit utilization rate is just you take the amount of credit you have, and you take that versus the amount of credit you have used, and you divide the two. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have 3 credit cards, and the limits on all 3 credit cards combined is 10,000. And out of the 10,000, you have spent on all 3 credit cards a total amount of 2,000. So your credit utilization rate is 20%, which is pretty good because experts will recommend a credit utilization rate that is below 33%. So that's 30 or 33%. So that's pretty good. So you take 2,000 rather, divided by 10,000, that's 20%. So make sure that you pay attention to that. All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this conversation. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.